The late game is going to be between Souths and Brothers, and here even the arrival coaches Ross Strudwick and Wayne Bennett weren't prepared to make a selection. They believe it's going to be so close. Is there an old Souths man, Bruce? Can the old club win?
Well, they've always had trouble in the past winning league games, but we've never had too much trouble in semi-finals. I'm going to pick Souths. I think they've had one win each this season, but I think Souths will be too strong overall for Brothers.
Well, some players that we'll be interested to see. Mel Meninga, of course, playing his first game back from England in the centres for Souths, and in the forwards, Eddie Muller, certainly in the running for a state jersey. In the Brothers side, it'll be interesting to see Chris Roach in the Brothers starting lineup. The former Wallaby international had a good game against the Gold Coast last week. Game chock full of interest. Going to make a selection in the late game, Martin?
I'll go Brothers.
Go for Brothers, will he? Bruce goes for Souths. Martin goes for Brothers. I'll lean just slightly to Souths, but it should be a top match.
Around us. The Brothers side out on the field, and Souths coming up now. Let's have a look at the Brothers lineup. A fullback is Tim Dwyer, wingers are Joe Kilroy and Jeff Burns, centres Darren Morris and Rob Grogan. The halves, Pat Shepardson, captain, and Henry Foster. Chris Roach will be at lock forward. Second rowers Dan Staines and Gary Smith. Props are Trevor Smith and Jim Heary, and the hooker will be Trevor Bailey. The coach is Ross Strudwick. The South side, coached by Wayne Bennett. Some changes in the Souths lineup. At fullback will be David Burke replacing Gary Belcher. Three quarters Gary Thompson, Peter Jackson, Mel Meninga, who makes his return after his season in England with St Helens. This is Chris Roach. Roach storming straight through a gap, and away he goes. He's got a bit of pace. Tries to get his pass over the top and does so to Tim Dwyer. But a good break by Chris Roach. Brothers inside the quarterway very quickly. Bailey gives his pass away through Shepardson. This is Trevor Smith. A top start by Chris Roach. Penalty goes to Brothers. Up inside the 5 against Souths, particularly Norm Carr. They beat Hull Kingston Rovers last weekend to win the premiership. The kick by Shepardson is there. No mistake. Brothers lead by 2-0. Mark Meskel back to Peter Jackson. Jackson through a small opening. Now comes back to the blind. Eventually decides to run to the open. To Brad Sully, then through Scott Tronk and on to Gary French. French steps around Tim Dwyer and sets sail for the line. And good piece of work there too by Scott Tronk. He fed that pass very quickly away from Brad Sully. Almost collides with Brian Grant as he's chased by Shepardson. Elias to Meninga, storming down the blind side. Gets away from Jeff Burns, or does he? But he still gets his pass back to Peter Jackson. Jackson setting sail for the corner. Back in field to Gary Thompson. Couldn't hold it. Penalty, Brothers. Good tackle by John Elias. Bailey gives it back to Staines. Staines trying to run himself. Underneath him got Brad Sully. Bailey away to Shepardson. Shepardson trying to break free of French's tackle. Turned it back around the corner to Trevor Smith. Again, Brothers on the last tackle. They're 8 metres from scoring. Ross Strudwick, the Brothers coach, watching anxiously as Henry Foster puts it into the air. It hits the upright, bounces back into the field of play. The kick is over. So Brothers lead by 10 points to 6. There he is, the Souths captain. Norm Carr replaced by Ash Lumbey. Brothers back inside the quarterway again. This is Jim Heary. Heary is only 12 metres out from scoring. Bailey gives his pass away to Chris Roach. Back to Bailey. A bouncing pass for Dan Staines. Chased by Meskel. He got through the gap. Brilliantly picked up by Rob Grogan, going for the line. He'll get inside the Souths defence and score. Good try by Rob Grogan, but the player who did the lead up to it was Dan Staines. By 16 points to 6. Brothers 16, South 6 at half time. And we'll return to...
Well, fortunately, so far, we've only had a light sprinkling of rain here at Lang Park. And that came just near the break of the between games. That storm cloud activity has moved right around the ground. We missed the earlier storm, but right at the moment, it's got very cloudy at Lang Park, and it wouldn't surprise if we get some rain during the 3rd and 4th quarters. There's the view looking towards the northerly direction, and there's our colour weather radar for the benefit of our Brisbane viewers, which shows that most of the storm activity, which built up earlier in the day down around the Rosewood area, has split and moved to the north and south of Brisbane, one going over the Redcliffe area and the other down around Beenleigh. But we're still getting a lot of cloud cover and it is indeed getting quite dark here at Lang Park. So the third and fourth quarters, we could see a fair amount of rain. Rod, what would you think South's tactics would be? Just looking at those flags, the breeze has definitely died down. There's still a breeze coming from the north, which will favour Souths in the third and fourth quarters, but what would you think their tactics would be?
I'd say South will try and play the game as much as they possibly can in Brothers' territory and try and apply a bit of pressure on them and make them, force them into some mistakes and try and capitalise on those.
Souths on the Brothers' quarter wide. Sully away to French. This is Gary Thompson. Now to Peter Jackson. Jackson storming through a gap. Coming towards Tim Dwyer. Feeds it back in field to Gary Thompson. And Thompson goes in to score. His pass to Eddie Muller. Muller charging through a gap. Closed on him as Pat Shepardson grabbed him from behind. Final tackle coming up. French elects to run it. Out to Mel Meninga. Meninga trying to storm through. His pass away to Hubie Abbott to Gary Thompson. Coming back in field away to Brad Sully. And that's where they'll score their points, Souths. If they're going to win it, they'll score it out wide.
There's not much in it now.
He elects to run. Back it goes to Bailey. Chris Roach. Roach is held on to in the final tackle. Shepardson standing deep waiting for it. He has to put it into the air though. David Burke takes it, loses it, scramble for possession, Rayburn McCoy on it, and Brothers score the winning try. Brothers score a try, and poor old David Burke, you've got to feel sorry for him, because the kid has done a splendid job today. He's been under a lot of pressure taking the
Full
high
marks
ball.
too, Brothers. They've controlled the game a lot better than South, and they've scored in the dying minutes of each quarter. And I think that's where you have to play quarter football. You have to play 20-minute quarters, and South haven't been doing that.
So the full-time hooter sounds. It's going to be a Brothers Wynnum-Manly final of the Winfield State League. Brothers and Wynnum played the Woolies final. They'll play the Winfield State League final, and they'll play the Woolies Trophy final for being the leading sides at the end of the first two rounds. So I suppose they've stamped themselves as the top two sides. Outfit of Canterbury leisure wear, and it's the Brothers halfback Henry Foster. Congratulations to him. Henry Foster gets another outfit of Canterbury leisure wear as our man of the match. Now, he'll also be taking away 4 points in our player of the series for Winfield. We gave 2 points today to Peter Jackson, the South Centre of the final of the Winfield State League, Brothers and Wynnum-Manly. It starts at 8:30, the full game live here on Nine's Wide World of Sports, and that should be a top match. Thanks to the boys down on the touchline, to Bruce Astill and to Cole Thompson. Poor old Souths fellas, they're shell-shocked and in the rain. It hasn't been a good day for them. Thanks, Rod. See you on Wednesday night.
Thanks, John.
And I'm John McCoy on behalf of the Rugby League team. Goodbye.